People of Amayis, gather close. This kind of story does not rush itself. It walks slowly, like an elder with a heavy walking stick, because some lessons cannot be shouted. They must sink. In Amay, whenever anyone wanted to talk about a blessed woman, one name always rose like morning smoke from cooking fires. Nara. Ah, that woman, people would say, if kindness were rain, it would fall on her roof first. And truly, from the outside, Nara's life looked like a well-arranged festival. She was beautiful in a calm way, not loud beauty, not the kind that begged for attention, but the kind that stayed with you long after she passed. Her skin shone like freshly oiled wood, and her smile softened even the hardest faces. But what made women sigh and men nod in approval was her husband. Toby. Toby was the pride of Amayazi. In the market, he held Nara's hand proudly and said, "This is my wife, my good fortune." He bought her fine wrappers, spoke gently in public, and laughed loudly so everyone could hear. Women whispered, "God, when will it be my turn?" Men said, "That is how a real husband behaves." But inside Nara's chest, a quiet fear lived. And fear, when it stays too long, learns the shape of the heart. Because the moment the wooden gate closed behind them, the man Amayazi praised disappeared. Toby's smile died like a blown-out lamp. "Why is this water warm?" he asked one evening, staring at Nara like she was a thief. "I will change it," she said quickly. Slap. The sound cracked the air. "Do you think I am one of those useless men outside?" he hissed. His voice was low. Dangerous. Nara touched her cheek and whispered, "I'm sorry." She always said sorry, for breathing, for blinking, for existing. "Remember who you were before I picked you," Toby continued. "You were nothing. If you leave this house, I will erase you." And Nara believed him. She had grown up with no parents, no voice, no defender. When Toby first courted her, he was gentle. He said, "I will be your family." So Nara thought love always came with pain. And she stayed. She learned how to hide bruises with powder and long sleeves. She learned how to smile in public and shrink in private. And Amayazi clapped for the performance, unaware it was watching a tragedy rehearsed every night. But while Nara suffered quietly, another woman watched carefully. Her name was Lemur. Lemur did not want love. She wanted victory. She wanted what others admired. When she saw Toby, she did not see a man. She saw a trophy. "That woman is lucky," Lemur told her friends. But luck changes hands. And Lemur planned like a hunter. She learned Toby's routines. Every morning, he passed the narrow footpath near the old tree. Suddenly, Lemur needed firewood there. "Ah, Toby," she would say, pretending to limp. "This thorn has punished me today." Toby would puff his chest. "Careful, woman." And Lemur would let her fingers brush his arm by mistake. Later, she brought him palm wine sweetened with honey. "A strong man deserves strong drink," she said. She fed his ego with both hands. And ego, once fed, always asks for more. One afternoon, behind the mango tree, Nara heard laughter. She froze. She knew that laugh. Lemur traced circles on Toby's chest and said, "Your wife looks at you like she fears you." Toby laughed darkly. "She should," he said. "I saved her from nothing." Nara stood hidden, her body shaking. But something inside her cracked open, not into anger, but into clarity. "So this is the truth," she whispered. "Then God has answered me." She did not see Lemur as an enemy. She saw her as an exit door walking on two legs. If she wants him, Nara thought, I will help her carry him. That night, a plan formed. Quiet. Patient. Dangerous. Nara changed. At home, she became unbearable. Soup burned. Answers came slow. When Toby raised his hand, she screamed loudly, so loudly that neighbors peeped. Toby froze. His reputation was watching. But in public, she became perfect, glowing, smiling. "Is my husband not kind?" she asked loudly. He was trapped inside his own lie. Meanwhile, at the stream, Nara sighed to Lemur as if confiding in a sister. "My husband deserves a stronger woman," she said. Lemur heard only opportunity. And the trap closed gently. From that day, Nara played her role carefully. In the compound, she moved like someone already half gone. She forgot things she never forgot before. Salt fell into soup twice. Firewood stayed wet. When Toby complained, she stared at him blankly, as if her spirit had stepped outside her body for fresh air. "Nara, are you deaf?" he barked one evening. She blinked slowly. "I'm trying," she said. Not apologizing. Just trying. That small change unsettled him more than tears ever did. Yet in public, she became light itself. At the village square, she laughed loudly and leaned on his arm. "This man saved my life," she told anyone listening. "Amayazi is lucky to have him." Toby smiled stiffly, sweating under praise that now felt like chains. He could not beat her without witnesses. He could not shout without questions. At night, he drank more. And when a man drinks to escape control, he looks for places where his power still works. Lemur made sure those places were open. She did not rush. She cooked slowly, the way hunger grows strongest. She sent food to Toby's farm hut. For a tired man, the note read. And when Toby complained about Nara, Lemur sighed dramatically. "A lion cannot live with a trembling goat," she said. "You need peace." Those words landed softly. But they stayed. Meanwhile, Nara visited the stream less. When women asked, "Where is your smile today?" she replied, "Marriage is sweet, just heavy." The women laughed, not knowing how close truth sat beside the joke. Then one night, Toby returned home drunk and angry. Smoke filled the kitchen again. "Enough," he shouted. Nara sat quietly, hair undone, wrapper torn. "If I am such a burden," she said softly, "let me go." The room went silent. Toby stared. His pride heard only one thing. Permission. "Pack your bags," Toby said finally. His voice shook with excitement. "You are a curse." Nara fell to the ground. Immediately she cried loudly, clinging to his legs. "Please," she begged. "Where will an orphan go?" Neighbors heard. Doors creaked. Toby felt powerful. "I have found a real woman," he announced. "Someone with fire." At dawn, Nara walked out with a small bundle. Coins were sewn into her wrapper, quietly saved over years. At the gate stood Lemur, dressed in borrowed shine. "Move," Lemur said. "This seat is not for everyone." Nara wiped her tears and leaned close. "Take him," she whispered. "All of him." Lemur frowned, then laughed. She did not understand gifts wrapped in warnings. Nara did not look back. She boarded a bus to the city. Silence greeted her like an old friend. Back in Amayazi, Lemur entered the compound like a queen. "Bring water," she ordered. The slap came fast. Toby's smile died. "You are not her," he said coldly. And Lemur crawled back in fear, understanding too late that she had not won love. She had inherited violence. Far away, Nara breathed freely for the first time in years. In the city, she rented a small room. No shouting. No fear. She slept deeply. But freedom, once tasted, always asks, "What next?" And that question had only begun to knock. Because in the city, Nara discovered something strange. Silence can be loud at first. On her first morning, she woke suddenly, heart racing, expecting shouting. But there was none. Only the sound of her own breathing. Only the sound of peace trying to teach her how to stay. Nothing came. No footsteps. No insults. No sudden rage spilling into the room like smoke. Only the soft hum of distant traffic, and the sharp cry of a street hawker outside, calling out bread like it was a song. Nara sat up slowly, then laughed, a short, broken sound that surprised even her. "So this is peace," she whispered. She washed her face and stared into the mirror. The woman staring back felt unfamiliar. Her eyes were clearer, but tired. Because fear does not disappear like smoke. It settles like dust. Still, Nara stepped outside. She found small work helping an older woman who sold cooked rice by the roadside. The woman watched her for a while, then said one afternoon, "You are quiet." Nara nodded gently. "I am learning to speak again." At night, she slept without holding her breath. And each day, her back straightened a little more. Back in Amayazi, the compound had changed its sound. Where Nara once moved carefully, silence now screamed. Lemur learned quickly that Toby's kindness had rules, and punishments. "Why is this soup cold?" he demanded one evening. Lemur answered sharply, forgetting fear for just 1 second. The slap came harder than the last. She tasted blood and stared at him in disbelief. "You lied," she whispered. Toby laughed. "I never lied. You just didn't ask the right questions." That night, Lemur cried into her pillow, realizing envy had blinded her. The women who once praised her now avoided her eyes. A new queen had arrived. But the crown was heavy. And the throne burned. Weeks passed. In the city, Nara began to introduce herself differently, not out of shame, but out of choice. She saved money. She spoke more. One evening, a neighbor asked her, "Do you have family?" Nara paused, then smiled. "I am building one." She enrolled in a small tailoring shop to learn sewing properly. And as her hands worked fabric, her mind stitched itself back together. Meanwhile, rumors drifted from Amayazi like smoke. "Have you heard?" people whispered. "The new wife cries a lot." Nara heard them. But did not react. Some stories are no longer yours to carry. In Amayazi, Lemur tried to escape once. She ran to the gate at night, but the bolt was already locked. Toby stood there calmly, as if he had been waiting. "Did you think it would be easy?" he asked. Lemur shook, finally understanding Nara's quiet strength. And she remembered the whisper at the gate. "Take him. All of him." The words returned like a curse. The house that once looked like gold now showed its cracks. Even the walls seemed to listen. One afternoon in the city, Nara stood before a mirror holding a finished dress she had sewn herself. It was simple. Strong. Hers. She smiled, not for anyone else, but because she could. "I survived," she said softly. But deep inside, she knew survival was only the first chapter. Healing demanded courage. And justice sometimes demanded witnesses. Somewhere between memory and tomorrow, Nara began to consider something she had never allowed herself before. Choice. As Nara settled deeper into city life, her body began to unlearn fear. Loud voices no longer made her flinch immediately. A raised hand no longer sent her heart racing, at least, not every time. Still, some nights, memories came without warning. She would wake up sweating, hearing Toby's voice inside her head. On such nights, she sat by the window and reminded herself aloud. "He cannot reach me here." Saying it out loud gave the words weight. It made them real. At the tailoring shop, customers praised her neat stitches. "You have patience," one woman said. Nara smiled. Patience had once been her prison. Now it was her skill. Slowly, she started saving more money than she spent. Freedom, she realized, was built the same way fear had been built. Day by day. Back in Amayazi, the illusion was fully broken. Lemur stopped wearing bright wrappers. Bruises are harder to hide when the truth has teeth. At the stream, women whispered, but no longer envied her. One afternoon, an elder's wife asked quietly, "Is it well in your home?" Lemur forced a smile and repeated the words she once mocked. Marriage is patience. That night, she confronted Toby with shaking hands. "Why are you like this?" she cried. Toby stared at her with empty eyes. "Because I can," he said simply. And power, once tasted, rarely asks permission. Then something unexpected happened. One day in the city, a woman from Amayazi walked into the tailoring shop and froze. She stared at Nara like she was seeing a ghost that had returned to life. "Nara," she whispered. Nara looked up calmly. "Yes." The woman swallowed hard. "You look alive." That word landed gently in Nara's chest. Alive. The visitor hesitated, then whispered again. "People know now. They talk." Nara felt no rush of victory. Only relief. Because truth, once spoken, walks faster than lies. That evening, Nara wrote her name carefully on a piece of paper. Not as someone's wife. Not as an orphan. But as herself. Back in Amayazi, Toby's mask slipped more often. Without Nara to protect his image, his anger spilled freely. Even the elders began to notice. "A man's house reflects his spirit," one of them said. Toby laughed it off. But laughter could not cover everything forever. Meanwhile, Lemur grew quieter. Thinner. Smaller. She finally understood that some competitions are designed so nobody truly wins. Each night, she wondered how Nara had survived for so long. And each morning, she feared she would not. One evening, as Nara closed the tailoring shop, she stood still and felt something unfamiliar. Strength without bitterness. She did not want revenge. She wanted closure. She wanted her story told correctly, not as gossip, but as truth. Some cages, she thought, open only when light enters. She did not yet know how. But she felt certain. The past was not finished with her. And she was no longer afraid to face it. Far away, in the same compound that once swallowed her voice, Lemur sat alone holding her knees. And in a quiet city room, Nara sat upright planning tomorrow. 2 women. 1 demon. 2 paths shaped by one choice. The drumbeat slowed, not because the story was over, but because something important was about to happen. The end did not come with shouting. It did not come with blood. It came quietly. The way truth often does. One morning in Amayazi, Lemur did not come out of the compound. By evening, elders forced the gate open after hearing days of crying. No one answered. They found her in a corner, broken in spirit, her body covered in marks no wrapper could hide. This time, there was no one to silence her. The elders turned slowly to Toby. The man who once shone in the market now stood small under their gaze. No shouting followed. Just judgment. He was stripped of respect. Reported to the authorities. And removed from the house he had used as a prison. Amayazi learned too late that kindness performed for applause is not kindness at all. It is camouflage. And camouflage always fails when light stays long enough. In the city, Nara heard the news from a distance. She did not smile. She did not cry. She folded the message neatly and placed it where the past belonged. Behind her. That evening, she locked her shop, walked home, and cooked a simple meal. No fear. No waiting for footsteps. just peace. She stood before her mirror and spoke clearly, without trembling. My name is Nara. I belong to myself. And that was the real ending. Not punishment. Not revenge. Freedom. Because some women do not survive to return and fight. Some survive to leave. And live. Moral. Not everything you fight to collect is a blessing. Some things are being released on purpose. And sometimes, the woman who lets go first is the only one who truly wins. The talking drum rests here. Thank you for watching, sweet folks. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our sweet and captivating stories. And tell us what you learned, and where you're watching from, in the comments section. Your voice matters here. Stay blessed, and enjoy another story on this channel.